I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. Hello, Anthony. Warm welcome to you.
Hello, Ann-Peggy. Nice to be with you here.
Yeah, I think, how many years is it since we bumped into each other?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
I found you on the internet when I wrote the Health Bible because you said something about psychosis, and you had the same explanation that I felt resonated with me. And then I contacted you and asked, "Can I write about you in the Health Bible?" And you say,
Yes, you did. Yes.
so I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's maybe 5 years ago.
Something like that. Yes. Yeah.
But now you are in what country are
At the
you?
moment, I'm in Thailand.
We're in
So
Thailand.
so it's I think it's about 20. It's down a bit. It's 26 degrees. It was hotter earlier. So it's evening here. Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
is you go back to this place because you have found something. Can you say something about?
Okay, you already get me there because
Yeah.
it's I'm in Chiang Mai. So okay, I kind of I do my best to look normal and be normal and do the way the world wants and everything else, but I don't really navigate inside in that way. So I've got four kind of areas where I had kind of sometimes we can call them bits of psychosis things. I don't mind, but I don't like to say that because that has a very fixed view, which is usually a mess
Yep.
and something sick. Whereas my experiences had bits of mess in them, but they also had lots of beauty and spiritual stuff en masse. It's just a whole explosion of archetypes and different things, and they happened in places, and there were four of them, which happened over 10 years. And so the places were Yangzhou in China, southern China, and then second was the kind of southern Thailand islands area. And third was Rishikesh in India. And fourth was Chiang Mai and the area around in northern Thailand. So I'm in Chiang Mai because I've done kind of pilgrimages back to these homes for the last, since Chiang Mai was 2008 when it went into its interesting kind of experience, and I've been. It took a few years for me to feel ready to process some of the stuff. So I think 2013. Yes, 2013. I came back the first time, so that was when I felt able to handle and process some of the difficult material that was there. And then I've come back ever since, every year. And it's been and each place I go to has been a place of growth. So there was a difficulty at the beginning and an interesting kind of experience. And then there's been masses and masses of growth and integration in these places. So this is one of my homes.
Yeah.
And so there you go. That gives you a start. And I kind of called it my heart path. So I was following an internal navigation for years and years, and it's not so clear now. So for the kind of the years when I was going in and out of the States, then it was a very close feeling. I was following this path that was there, and then as things stabilized around 2010. Then it just became more part of the whole life. It's just there's not so fixed a thing. Yeah, I feel like I'm just being me now, so
Yeah.
I don't feel. Whereas before it was this very tight. I must follow this
Yeah.
this path, and it's hard work at times.
Yeah.
So there was something which And now I just feel like it's just me. I'm just doing my life. So
you walk in your path.
I walk on my path, but I don't feel like it's a big burden or I'm carrying a cross or something or I must do. I just do myself. That's easy. Yeah.
And we talk just before we started this, we talk about what do you call it? I asked what you call it, and you say I call it my love, but it doesn't have any name because when we name something, we already put it into a boxes and a program. So it is kind of so someone also call it the Tao, the universe, the God, but whatever, all the names,
Yeah.
all the labels, it's beyond labels.
Yeah. Yeah, so religion is okay, but it's always a bit fixed and rigid, and I join in things more to just move and connect with other people, not because it's a personal interest to me, because it's just little boxes and things, and I couldn't care less. So it's just whichever one is has got enough space that's there, and when they're too rigid, I'm sorry, I just have to walk away with things. So I had my own personal experience. I mean, the time when I was recovering from being on antipsychotic medication, there was a kind of a breaking crucifixion experience in a way to it. So I was at the bottom of the suicide well, where everything is just black and dark and whatever, and no emotions because it's all been drugged and flat. And there was just starting to recover from this very difficult state, and the actual recovery was a kind of grace experience. So I was this was as low as you can get as a person, and I chose to write some a computer game as a way to train my mind to think again. I was a computer programmer before, and so I wrote some games that I liked as a child, and I was putting the intelligence in to train the computer so it would play the game with its own intelligence against me. But I knew that I was actually putting the intelligence back into me. So I was doing So what was happening was love. So I was doing the ultimate love for myself, and I did it all day long, hours and hours in a quiet room, and I played beautiful music. We had some operatic music which I'd found from a gift my brother had given me, and so there was this beautiful music of human emotions, of all sad, happy, joyful, and it played in a loop over and over and over for hundreds and hundreds of hours while I was doing all this stuff. And in this process of love for myself, then I heard kind of grace. And so there was this thing that came up, which came up with these words: "Thank you, my love." And it's there. It's just there in itself. So for me, this became its own thing. It's in the heart, and I can forget it sometimes. You tune back in and gets caught in your head, and then I'll remember, and then I'll tune back into it. So there's an unconditional gratitude. So I'm being ripped apart by something. My world, my dreams, my relationships is all collapsed again, and then it goes back into the heart opens and just holds this brokenness that is in me. Yeah. And the pain comes, but I'll go into that, and you feel like everything's gone, but at the same time, it's not gone because something is there which is holding this pain.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So it doesn't have as we were saying, it can't have a name because it's personal to me.
Yeah.
It's my own personal connection with something. And that's what I rest on. So I've lived in a universe that is more unstable than most people can dream about of things, and yet my stability has been in this, that I rest on that, and it doesn't matter if it all starts behaving strange again, because I'm moving through the space, and my identity is not resting in any of this stuff. that's here. It's resting in my relationship to this thing, and like I said, it can be something which is universal, the whole universe, and it can be something relational with a person, even or in relationship or generally, and also with myself. And it's there, and yeah, and then we were saying, yeah, that the way I kind of connect with this is a little bit personal, I guess, but I suppose people can feel themselves what their own truth is for this kind of thing. The way I've connected with this, my love, has come to me as well. So I was after my second episode, the second journey in Thailand. I was back in a bookshop in England and looking for some book, and then saw something else. I saw the I Ching, and I said, "That's for me." It's like there was a knowing at the time, and I'd already picked it up years ago and read it in the library, and oh, I don't understand this, and put it back. But this time, and this particular version, I just knew it. It was there in relationship, and so this became a more kind of precise way that I communicated with this my love or whatever. So the I Ching became part of my personal thing. And so you laugh at all this stuff because and then I got another part because I was teaching English to Bhutanese Buddhist monks in Kalimpong in South India. So I turned up there and was checking out a research center. And as it turned out, there was nothing happening. I was the only guest. I spoke to the manager, a German lady, and we talked about, well, there's nothing happening here. What should we do? And so we came up with the idea of me running this English course for monks, and so I taught a medicine Buddha, and the focus was for them to teach the medicine Buddha in English. So we and it happened that the house next door was an important center for this medicine Buddha transmission from Dudjin Rinpoche. So we're in that area. So I did the course with the monks. They all turned up, and this was amazing over 10 days. And we finished off with them all chanting and and doing this thing together. And the consequence was that I found another part of my feeling for this spiritual thing. So I've actually not got them with me at the moment. I usually have, but I took on this kind of feeling for three of the Tibetan deities. So there's a Chen Resig, which is compassion, and a Tara, a white Tara, and the medicine Buddha. And so this became a part of a shrine with a Tibetan kind of aspect. Yeah. And for quite a few years, I was my personal practice was to chant the Chen Resig and the medicine Buddha chanting, and I would chant in Tibetan with a lama on a sort of a recording, so we'd do it together, and so this became the kind of the emotional way of me doing my spiritual thing. So I had my love in this kind of abstract foundation straight from inside, and I had the I Ching for this kind of communication thing and wisdom. Anthony, you and your ego, drop it, yeah. So it was like a kind of a wisdom teaching that was coming, and watch out, there's danger around. What's happening now? So I was using the I Ching to navigate and have a communication, you know, and then on an emotional level, I got this kind of a Tibetan shrine that was there, so I would have that. Yeah, and then and then later, when I was trying to join the Kagyu, I thought, oh, okay, I did a pilgrimage to try and so now I'm going to join the and there's so many synchronicities and different things. And then I got there and then found the door didn't open for this. I said, what's going on? So I was just following the journey. So I flew from North India, where I was trying to join this thing with Thai Situ, and flew down to South India. And then with so many different events, found myself in a Zen Sangha. And so I ended up with my love inside. I've already done my Zen, and the I Ching is the navigation part, and my Tibetan shrine, which is the feeling part, and then a practice part, which is coming from Zen. I can sit and be part of a Sangha, and then around all of that, where I actually feel myself, whether it's this life or past lives or deeper understanding, I guess it's linked to the I Ching, is within this Taoist umbrella, which is what I was saying when we were chatting before. So in the end, I can feel this thing. I can feel this mother that is kind of that you can't describe, you cannot put words to. So it's something but it feels relational for me, and I have a sense of. So this is what I was saying is different. That the Taoist feeling comes across as a very nature thing, which is impersonal. You can't say anything about it, and blah 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 blah. But I don't relate to it in that way. I have a kind of a relationship feeling sense somehow, and maybe it's coming out of my love thing. Yeah, that's there. So I relate to it in that sense. So my love is this Tao. And it doesn't feel distant or yeah. I get emotional. That's it's funny. It doesn't feel distant. Yeah.
And all you are talking about, because this is the Divine Design podcast, what you are describing is what this podcast is all about, Divine Design. Because we don't have any name, but I have called it Divine Design. Because Divine Design, it is an experience. You can experience whatever you want. You can find it in Christianity, in Taoism, in Buddhism, in all concepts. Yeah. But it's following the heart and opening the heart to everything. And it is a sensory experience. It is not in our head. We have to go out of our head. And
it's not a head.
Yeah, so we have to just flow with it. And you, so everything you are describing is, this is Divine Design podcast, and you are actually describing the essence of this podcast, because the new divinity, I use the word divinity because we are in essence light. Divinity, I see divinity as light. Our light essence wants to experience. It wants to sense, because being in concept inside here in this script, it's boring. It's boring.
Yeah.
So you say, I have traveled to this place, to that. You have experienced your divine design. So it's like, music in my ears.
Yeah. So it's the whole lot is a journey, and this has happened over many years.
Yeah.
Of exploring and finding and not knowing, and then something comes in the end. I mean, okay, there's all these things. So these all still exist for me. So as it happens, and then I have, and it's even more funny. So I have this is actually a Chinese little Buddha. So the Tibetan deities didn't travel with me this time. It was unusual. I left them at home. I thought, well, I'm going to India. I might get some updates. So I might see if I can find, because the cards are getting older. But I've got a Chinese Mahayana little bronze Buddha here. So he travels with me, the little one, isn't it? And then a Tibetan Vajra. So they're kind of here. And I'll do and I like to do also do a Theravada kind of. So you say, Anthony, it's all mixed up. You can't do this. But it is. It's just it's all part of me. So it's for me. It's all part of my Zen,
Yeah,
and
integration of
and
it
that's
all. Mm.
no, and that's not something rational. It's not from all these camps that people put themselves in. I get into all trouble with different people, the head of this sect or this sect, because they say you can't do both. But I'm me, and I can feel my own flow through all of this, and I don't feel in these boxes, so I relate to the Taoist thing. That's yeah.
Yeah, when I was in the middle of my journey, I went to two practices of shamanism. And the mental script says that shamanism is shamanism, but it's so many different shamanism. And both of the
Yeah.
shamanists, both of them took 2 years, and I did it simultaneously for 2 years in both of them. And it was only one practice that was similar to both of the shamanistic way. And one was of the shamanist leader was a woman, and another one was a man. And I learned so deep because in one of the education I had my youngest daughter with me, and when you have your child with you, they are mirroring you so deep, much deeper than
Yeah.
because yeah. So for these 2 years, I had my daughter in this tradition, and for the other tradition, only myself. And it was more the Inca tradition, and the other one had also, she did the same as I do. I want to be eclectic. I want to take the best of all tradition, like Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, all wisdom, knowledge, and shamanistic, or whatever we call it. If you take the best from all tradition, and then that's the path of the heart, because the heart know what it needs from that tradition and that tradition. So it
Yeah, because
same
if
as
with
you.
your head you can't do this. Yeah.
No, we can. No,
Yeah,
no, no, no.
so with your head you cannot weave or do this, but within feeling
Yeah,
you can.
yeah,
Yeah. Because we were saying also the word key culture, because that is also part of, because that's then turned into how is the practice when it's there. So it's coming, key culture is the Japanese term for the hara, the journey of allowing the fullness. So we're all the same in this. We all have the sort of possibility for this bigger me, I call it, like
yeah,
big me,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's always little me, but the full me, the key, the version of the Tao, or the kind of God, or whatever you call
yeah,
it,
yeah,
how that version, that there's a level, it's all here. So there's one level we are the same. You see, your face is my face. I
yeah,
see, the Zen story. Yeah. At the same time as being the same face, the way the face expresses is different. You have different qualities,
yeah,
different things, how it's there.
yeah,
But this is still your original movement, my teacher would call it. So we have our kind of distortion of our personalities and journey and things that's there, and then the journey is to come back to our original expression of this kind of divinity, and then this is key culture, to live this fullness and be yourself.
yeah,
And you don't necessarily have to do anything, you just be yourself. And so so you just there with people and connect and be authentic, and then that's the invitation to others to find
yeah.
their selves. Yeah. So I guess the key culture best sums up for me this whole thing of that the journey is just to come to that state of allowing
Yeah.
that to be here. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then all of these things, my ways of relating to that. Yeah.
I call it divine design because divine design for me it's the light essence of us, and we how do we want to express our divine design, because we can
Yeah.
express it in so many ways. So it is we are talking about the same, and it is so many traditions that talk about the same with different names, but it is when we go to the essence of it, it has no name. But for me, it was shown as divine design because it was the essence of us, and from our essence, all the possibility, all what we have, we are multisensory beings, and what we can experience through our divine design or through our essence, light essence.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are more than hundreds different names maybe thousands. I don't know.
Yeah, it's called human culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
what I'm trying, it's that okay, we have so many paradigm way of thinking, uh, but we are actually, if we go to the essence of every tradition, we are talking about the same. So we are more connected than we
Yeah.
have
Yeah. I
learned.
had I had a I was very impressed. I learned Chinese because I was living in China, and one of the surprise benefits was I was able to have a conversation with a Chinese Tibetan monk in the borders of Western Sichuan in the Tibetan area. So he was interested. In fact, I was able to talk with all the Tibetan monks in this area because they spoke Chinese. So there's strange things, but the Chinese became a bridge, even though it's a difficult thing for them at times. But it became a language bridge where we could communicate. But this one monk where I had a really good conversation was interesting in himself because he actually was Chinese. He was from Shenzhen and had become a Tibetan monk during the Mao time. So this was meant he was a special person because this was a time when religion was not allowed, and for a Chinese person to take on the religion of these people and go into that meant he had a very big journey for him to be able to do that. But we were talking, and what came out was the concept of a diamond, and both of us immediately understood conceptually what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So because what I talked about was sitting in the heart of the diamond.
Yeah.
And the diamond has many facets coming in from different paths, and maybe as many paths as there are people, or facets as people, but certainly as many facets as there are religions that are coming in, or different things. Yeah. But when you're inside the diamond and you look out, then you can see the kind of the truth in each of these facets that are there. Yeah. And so you're able to relate with the people and see that it's all the same when it's coming into that level. Yeah.
And that's also what I told you when we started. I'm doing the Divinima Reset course, and that's the same. It is kind of living from our diamond because it is actually a detox, because the programming we have learned is limiting our light. So when we take away the programming, all the labels as we talk about, then we are in the divine design and the crystal and diamond. So it's like
because what's special is that allows what you're talking about, because the whole it's been so I part of the first experience I had, so this is very personal now, but the actual the first, when my mind broke open, we'll say positive language, breaking open, it was in China in 2001. And I spent 3 months reading an English-Chinese Bible, so New Testament. So I spent 3 months reading that before going, and because I was disturbed by something, so it had been building up for a while. It was the words, the way, the light, and the truth. The only way to God is through me. Something like that. Different versions of the same, but that thing. The religion that I'd been brought up in, and it was important within my sort of my father's family. So it was a strong religious base. I spent my childhood being angry with it. I would just, I even had a few Christian girlfriends. So you're attracting triggers. And so I went into churches with one of them, and she said she could see speech bubbles of outrage that was coming. So it was producing this anger for me, with contact with this thing. And so at this time, and then this came to a focus because I had another Christian partner in China. So it came up to a focus, and I was looking at where the love creates hate and destruction. The actual spirituality that I've been given, when I look at how it's touched the world, it created so much pain and suffering and wars and division, and there was no capacity within it to accept difference, to see other facets. Absolutely zero, and it was built into the whole way that the structures are there in the words and the stuff. The only way, the way I am the way, the light, and the truth, the only way to God is through me. There is no other way other than this. And then you go and meet a Muslim person or a Taoist person, and no, they don't have the truth. When they have the truth, then they'll know. And so this then is not love, and so this creates division between people. So obviously for me, I went in a laser beam thing to try and take this apart to understand this.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I spent 3 months reading the Bible, and then wrote a kind of a challenge essay on this. And in the end, picking it apart, I got something that love is the way, the light, and the truth. The only way to love is through love. And through this thing. So this was picking out all different things that was there. This was, and then I went into this state. Boom. And it opened, and then I was on some kind of stuff, baptized myself in rivers and being born again, and then becoming Buddha stuff, and So it was me unpicking this Christian thing, which had been through my family. My grandparents were lay preachers, so there was a lot of, Methodist Christian stuff in my background.
Yeah.
And this was what it was. Yeah. So the diamond for me is important. It's about how we can embrace the truth in others, and also not get blinded by people or characters from the past, and be able to see the truth in people in different ways in front of us now, all different things, rather than just making divine images of people in the past and not seeing the beauty that's around us. So this is there you go.
It's music in my ear, because what I see in the word, it's that this is the path for all of us, because we cannot find the totally truth of ourselves with just one religion or one tradition. It's how can we embrace the diversity of it all? Because the diversity holds pieces for us.
Yeah.
And both of us have gone on this journey, and we have been to so many different traditions. And the last year I have studied theology in the Christian tradition. And I have gotten a lot of knowledge, deep knowledge about Jesus, even though I have experienced Jesus. We have talked about this earlier, feeling and sensing the Christ consciousness. So I come from that.
Yeah.
And then I learn a lot of mental script about Jesus, and they are perfect. But I have a personal relationship to Jesus. And if I want a clarity, I ask Jesus, because the consciousness of Jesus is here now if we want it to be.
Yeah.
So the shift is to not reading about it, having mental concept, but sensing it, knowing it is here, and we have a relationship with it, and sensing it, and then using it, being it, emanating it.
The irony is, look, I mean, so I'm a person that did read the New Testament line by line with excitement and enthusiasm in between my Tai Chi practices, with nothing else to do apart from I was teaching children at the weekend, so that was my bit of service stuff. And I went through, and then I read John twice, the book of John. So I was interested in the end, I felt an interest in John and in the strange prophecy one at the end. I forget what it's called. So they whatever it's called. So I felt a numinosity in those two. The rest didn't interest me.
Okay.
The revelations I got a sense there was something shamanic about it, and that there was something that was new. And I actually thought that was something in there which might have been part of the trigger for me from this thing. So there was something I was really tuned in. So there was something in there which was interesting, and then John felt like it was written with intention by some people who actually did have their own development. Felt really interesting, but when looking through it, there's not a lot of teaching. There's very focused ones. Yeah, there is. There's an interesting one about faith. If you have a bit of faith, yeah, that made some sense to me. But the big one is just about loving your neighbor, and you go love your neighbor as yourself. I said that's impossible. We've got one bread roll, and I'm hungry, and you're hungry. Who's going to eat it? This is the world's problem at the moment. Yeah, usually wars and resources, and we're not great at who's going to have the bread roll. Like we make war all over the place for this. Yeah, I want that country. I want the land, the resources, the stuff for us, not for you. And so you've got this paradox of love your neighbor like yourself when you're in duality, when it appears to be like a jungle, and how is it possible to love someone like yourself unless you're not relating on that level of
it is.
Yeah. So it means that it's an actual consciousness. So when you see your original face, and then you feel the same, and then there is only yourself, and then there isn't this sense of this competition and jungle and everything else. And this paradox can be resolved by us feeling one time we might share, or I might need it, or you might need it, or whatever's there. There's no, the actual answer to this thing is not coming from that mind that's in this duality.
Yeah,
it's coming from a unified mind.
But the Bible, it's so much wisdom in the Bible. But what I have understood that a lot of people read the Bible very literally. We take word for word. We go to the mantle. But if we see all the wisdom like symbols, like archetypes and symbolism, then the wisdom in the Bible is very, very deep. And all the letters from Paul, he actually say, I'm living from Christ consciousness. So he already understood that heaven on earth is inside. So he emanate heaven on earth. And we have to remind ourselves that this was 2000 years ago. So what language do they have at that time? And if you try to take that language and do it into the year we are in, so the wisdom is very deep, but we have to see with other eyes than the literal. It is symbolic and it is spiritual.
Yeah. Also, there's an element where we're doing quite a bit on the Bible, but it's interesting. There's an element where there were different messages depending on the reader. So the consciousness that you bring to it. So what you get. So if you get a painting, and then you let the whole planet, all the people walk in front and look at it, each person will feel and experience a different experience from this. Yeah. Because what you experience is based on your capacity to sense who you are.
Yeah.
And that may change through your life as well. And so it's the same with when there's a numinous book, when it has its own special quality to it, then it talks to people in different ways. And so there's levels of things. So I also felt that's maybe one of the reasons that I've been interested in so many different cultures and different views on this, because having all those mirrors allowed me to be able to unpick and find things which otherwise I might not. And so having a feeling for Taoism, I felt allowed me to read things within the Bible, which thought, no, this is the same. This was
and life is actually a reflection of ourself, and it can be beyond time because we have so many lives. So what we see is trying to kind of wake us up, if it's this life, past life, future life. So I see life as a reflection. And I just had a therapy with a woman, and I said, okay, did you see what happening? Because she talked about it very literally, as we do, and said, do you see the symbolic what just happened, the opening when we met each other? It's like, wow, it symbols all her life. It's like it was so in our face, but it kind of get blind of the how we project our life and how life is mirrored to us, and symbolizing what we are in the middle of. So it's so fascinating that the answer is so close, but it's like it's so close that
Yeah,
we cannot see
yeah,
it. It's too close.
yeah, yeah. I mean, one, I don't know for other people, but one consequence because of the experiences I had uh, with these kind of these I don't know whether I call them spiritual psychosis things or openings. I mean, certainly the after the first time, then I'd learned to internalize and handle the reality, even though I didn't know I was in the same reality as where I'd lived normally. So in these states, I wouldn't know if I was alive or dead or in another dimension. But
Yeah.
I got smart in terms of hedging my bets and trying to make sure I don't end up in a psychiatric hospital and get to actually follow the journey to the end. So something in me was very um, um, it's like the lower self is still having a rough time going through stuff, and you're on the
Yeah.
stage, I call it, and it's all rough. But there was some kind of higher self which I could sense. Sometimes in the third time, I even saw it. So it was like a Tibetan eyes type thing, which I could almost see in the air there, and it was like a kind of companion watching me. So I kind of knew that okay, there's a hell of a ride to do. I'm going through this, and I was doing life and birth, death and rebirth type rituals and all sorts of things. So there's a big thing to go through. At the same time, it's already done and it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this other part is all relaxed about it, and this is fine, and the little part is doesn't know if I'm alive or dead, and I'm going through this experience and trying to work out things. But one of the uh, I guess the consequence of moving in and out of these experiences was that the whole lot became effectively all it's, people ask how do you heal someone, how do you fix the person. So you don't fix the person, you complete your journeys. You're not trying to stop it or fix it. You like so if you're doing this, then you complete it. So if it's like a bridge and you're going over your bridge over the river, well, you need to go across, and then you need to relax and integrate the experience, and then it just becomes something that's breathing.
Yeah.
Something that gets full again, then you're back into a state, and then it if it's natural and you relax, then over time it just comes back down again. You relax, and then over time it just becomes normal. It's just part of your relationship with this. So you move through this thing, and you're not missing, like you're saying, missing all the stuff that's there from the face. It's all synchronous.
Yeah.
So this it's alive, this whole thing, and you're moving through, and the connections come or different things, and so the normal life becomes its own kind of thing without feeling so much like a cartoon, because in those very intense experiences, it feels like you're in God cartoon, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's that. You have to learn to relax with that. That's too there's too magical. It's nice to have a bit of normal, not quite as intense as that, but still, it has that feel to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to ask you something, because I think a lot of, not a lot of people, but some people have experienced psychosis like you have. And what can you tell something about experiencing psychosis and using it as growth to your higher self, to not drug it away, but to go through the psychosis and open more and more. Because through the psychosis, I have understood that the opening can be very big, very big. But at the same time, also we feel the doubleness, kind of Mother Earth and the duality and the divinity, where everything is union. So can you say something about psychosis as a way of really opening up to our higher self?
Yeah. So the first thing is to be careful with language. So because so the word psychosis is trickier. For me, it does have a meaning.
Yeah.
So I actually have them, but it's not quite what everyone else on the planet, including the NHS, I saw quoted today. Yeah, because for the official psychiatric, then it's hallucinations, delusional thinking, voice hearing, paranoia, and maybe negative symptoms of disembodiment and depression and no ability to communicate. So that's become a sort of a rote. I was even in the schizophrenia festival once, and I was there to speak, but the organisers stepped in before me and suddenly gave this whole and I had to go and say, I've got no idea what this guy is talking about. I don't recognize any of this. I do recognize emotional pain, and difficulty being in my body and in being myself in this human world that we've created.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't recognize, and so I do understand the sense of psychosis, but the sense that I get is of where the wheels are spinning. So we've got a mind a thinking mind that normally functions and stays with our reality and is able to, because the actual experience is much bigger, and so the higher self and the consciousness is a big universe.
Yeah.
And the thinking mind is a little thing. And generally, it manages to find a road to move on and a pathway to work through, even if it's narrow at times. Yeah. But and so that allows us to be in this kind of cognitive matrix and connection with people. But if it goes into a state where it's like the wheels are spinning and it's getting faster and faster, trying to work out, there's emotional energy that's gone into, so strong negative emotional energy, anxiety, fear, anger, that's there, puts lots of energy into the thing, and the mind is lost its sense of navigation, of relationship, and is trying to solve this emotion and problem and work out things, and it's always trying to find a pattern. It's trying to fix things, and yet it can't. And so this goes into go. Okay, so that I can call a psychosis. When the mind is gone into this spin. Yeah. It's like you're skydiving and you're going head over heels. Yeah. And there's no ground. There's no thing. So this is where someone is lost, and I can recognize that, and it's a mess. Yeah. But the actual experience to move through altered state experiences, no, this is not an illness. This is a human capacity. Yeah. To hear other things. There may be things which are nice, there may be things that are not nice. It may be part of your mind and different parts of your personality. It may be other entities that are there, and there are beings on other levels. And okay, you may want or not want this, but this is a reality which is just bigger than the person generally in the street experiences. Though I don't know, maybe lots of people experience this. But the issue is just, are you okay with it? So this is what I say. Yeah. So psychosis is just when you're not okay with your experience and you don't have training or capacity to find your ground when the things open up. Yeah. So that gives you then a difference between the spiritual journey and the mental health journey. You're not prepared. You don't have the capacity, and it's not your fault because our school doesn't train us, the society doesn't train us.
Yeah.
And so that already kind of answers it. That if you're able to so like a conversation, I can do pretty quick with people, and then something side relaxes and goes, oh, so I'm not mad. Whereas when you speak with people who um, are effectively afraid of what you're experiencing, so most people, we're doing our best. This great big universe, this great big ocean, and human beings are just boom, landing in this thing and trying to find stability and order with their minds to be in this. And so they'll fix in all different ways. And, we call it ego or different things, and they'll fix connections with other people and whatever. And if they meet someone who's blown out of this thing, then that threatens their little ways that they've got to stabilize, and so they go into fear. And okay, we can't judge because it's just what happens, but it's unhelpful because then the person who's in their rocky boat quietly experiences judgment and boundaries from the person, and that makes them feel small and not accepted and connected. And what if you're super strong in your sense of self, and you've already got this relationship to your own divinity inside, then you don't need other people to help you stabilize in the big ocean. You can just swim like the great turtle in the Taoist book. I just swim the oceans. And you don't need to live in the little well like the frog or whatever in the story. But that's special. That's when you've really done your training. So this is the value of the real spiritual journey. Involves lots and lots of discipline and practice to strengthen yourself and find your inner connection inside. But when you have a break open, however it's happening because of things, then you open up into this ocean or this fire, whichever you see it as, and haven't got that strength of connection inside and real sense of self. And so what you desperately need is connection to other people to help you to stabilize. And when you talk with people that go into fear, they don't offer that connection to you. So that's the mental health world as well. And they say, oh yeah, it's the easiest way to protect yourself from being challenged is to say that the other person's mad. That they're wrong, that their truth is not valid. And so it's not valid, so it doesn't threaten my truth. And so I can feel okay in my truth and keep my beliefs. Whereas if you open up and allow them their truth, that's a challenge then to yourself to look. And so this is that. So that said for the people that watch this.
Have you thought about society in general, the collective, that if we see it from a bigger picture, that our society is actually in psychosis? So it is kind of the collective field is in psychosis. And if we try to wake up, the psychosis want us to be in this psychosis, like the general structure and in society. So it wants us to be in psychosis. So because when we are sleeping, when we are in our mind, we are actually in psychosis. So we have to hack up out of our mind to really live, to be in our truth, to be in our diamond, to be in our divine design. So most people are already in psychosis, but we call the one who is waking up, they will say, oh, they have an illness. But actually, most of people, 95%, maybe more, is in psychosis, the illusion that we have made on Earth.
So this is, again, it's depending on your definitions. So what I'm hearing there is that you're saying, so with the word psychosis, you're using it as actually similar to the way the psychiatrists say. yeah. Um, Humanity is say the reality is this, whether you call it emptiness in a kind of Zen language, or the big ocean. I like this image of the big ocean with waves, and all of these people. Everyone's got this little raft that they're on, and all these rafts are tied together. And this is our strategy to stay sane, to cope in this thing. We make lots and lots of life experiences and connections, and we develop an ego sense because this is something we can control, this image.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this image we solidify. So we've got real connections between our rafts and our genuine love and feeling with people. And then the ego is there as well as another kind of bigger raft.
yeah.
And it's stabilized with all these mind relationships and power games and things with all the other people and things. And so these strategies are the ways that we try and build an insurance policy against the there's nothing to hold on to type feeling,
Yeah,
which is what you have when it breaks.
yeah, yeah.
So if you want to call that the collective mindset, a kind of a delusion or a psychosis, then well, it's obviously there. So there are collective mindsets, and that that's a sort of a control pattern and a view with its own big defenses, massive defenses against it. And sure, you're not in the you're in, well, I'll use the Taoist sense. So in the book of Chuang-Tzu, it says, there's the conversation between the ocean turtle and the frog in the pond. And the frog saying, "It's so great in here. Why don't you come in here?" And the turtle saying, "I'm swimming through the oceans." Yeah. So the frog, the well is a mental box.
Yeah.
Which is yeah. And the freedom is to be in the ocean and to relax with that. And so the reality is there is no problem to be in the ocean, but we don't know that. It brings up all the fear inside. So there's the fear of death because the ego is collapsing when you go into this.
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, you can say, if you say like that there is a kind of I don't know, delusion. I don't like to do that because for me that's still judgmental. So
okay.
so I just
accept. I'm glad you said it, because when I said it, okay, that sounds judgmental. So I agree, but I don't mean it in a judgmental way. But I just wanted to lift it in a higher level so that we see that when we judge people that have psychology and that have psychosis, I mean, then
yeah.
then we could say, oh, you have an illusion, but we are ourselves in an illusion. So it's like I wanted to take the perspective from that okay.
Yeah.
We say that okay, you have an illusion, but what are we doing if we just go from our scripted mind? Then we are also in the illusion. So that's what was my point, not to judge, but just to put
exactly. It's actually to hold a mirror to the reality that is there. Exactly. Yeah. So each person is on their own journey with this, and I mean the nice thing with having your own mind gone mad and going through things is that there's something relaxed inside, and so you're able to relax with it's like a curiosity. So how do you experience this reality then? I mean, for me, this thing is just I describe it as it's just a cinema. So there's this
playground.
You got a playground. I've got a cinema. So I've got this cinema hall, and I've got this and there's a kind of a screen or a stage, and there's a projector that's there, and the projector's got me on the screen, and it's got all these things happening. But then there's also me, and I've got this nice cozy seat in the cinema. I'm just there and watching, and I'm kind of chilled out and watching it.
But you're
Now
not
I'm
only
God.
watching it, you are experiencing it, you are feeling it. So you're not
No, I'm feeling it. So
yeah,
these two seats are not separate, but
yeah,
they are. So the observer is there, and the screen is completely lived and felt. It is this.
yeah,
Yeah. But the observer is not separate. It's not a two duality. It's an awareness and a felt sense that's there. At the same time, it's been fully in the experience that's
yeah.
there.
So
Yeah.
you know that you are God experiencing your universe. We are talking
Yeah.
about we are
Yeah.
God universes that experience how it is to be a God in our own life, in with the experience we have in our terms.
Yeah. Without an inflation. So at the same time, recognizing that this is just the human design,
Yeah.
and that every person is the same, and so there's no inflation with that.
Mm.
That's there. There's a recognition, and then you get another projector that turns on, and then because you obviously you dream, so you know you can go to sleep, and there's another projector which creates another version,
Yeah.
and so okay, so we have these different projectors and different worlds that we can go into. Maybe there's more, yeah. So
Yeah.
suddenly, everyone goes, oh yeah, so we can our consciousness can move through different levels. This is a given.
Yeah.
And what if they mix together? So you have some state of health or mind or need or the stars, whatever it is that causes the two to mix together. So both projectors, in this case, the dream projector and the daytime body consciousness,
Yeah.
they mix together, and so you get a blended reality experience.
Yep.
Your cinema is then a subjective, yeah. The consensus reality is there, but there's also the personal subjective projector that's coming in,
Yeah.
and so you experience someone floating on the ceiling or a little dog walking along or something, yeah. And when you someone you meet someone, so they're on your screen, you're on their screen,
Yeah.
but you talk, but they don't see your little dog or your person floating because that's part of your blended experience.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm just giving us an understanding model now for how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can't say, oh, so in your cinema hall you don't experience my little dog here. Yeah, so but I do. So
Yeah.
this is true for me. This is not hallucination. This is my universe
Yep.
as I experience it, my reality experience, which is in my case has got a blend
Yep.
of the different levels,
Yep.
and yours doesn't. So that's your truth.
Yeah.
So I'm not invalidating your truth, and you're not invalidating mine.
Yeah.
And this is then the human experience of meeting that
Yeah.
we have these things, and then you can understand when people have a psychosis. Then
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah. And then the main job is, can you relax with what you experience? Because this is calling you to work on your traumas.
Yeah.
It's like turning the volume up,
Yep.
and and what I say to people is, you didn't ask for this, probably. Yeah. But you have no choice. Because this is what the life is offering you. Your higher self is offering you. It's telling you you have to work on all of your journey to mature, to deal with all the anxieties inside, to grow up as a person.
Yep.
And this is a human life.
Mm.
And when you do that, then you can be in this blended reality and relax because it's okay.
Mm.
Yeah. And it may just settle down and you don't even notice it. I don't notice it. No, but you never know. I can never tell what comes.
Yeah, and it's also a level that a lot of youth want to experience all these dimensions. So someone take drugs and someone take plant medicine because they want the journey. So it is a bigger acceptance because the journey is we are revealing ourselves. We are going into our diamond and trying to shed all the layers off. So it's kind of the polarities in the psychiatry and the Western medicine. We call it insane and sickness. But at the other side, a lot of youth, and also not only youth, but people want to come to their essence and diamond, and also use remedies and plant medicine or drugs to come to the diamond. And there are thousands of ways of doing it. So, but I don't want us to go into that because we have discussed this earlier, and it's so many ways. So it's what is wrong and what is right. It's only ourselves know what's the right path for us. There are no mental scripts.
Yeah,
No one can
yeah.
tell. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking because it's again it's our culture is not very experienced
No.
because I've got you remind me of a book from a Tibetan medicine book, and it talks about the different personality types
Yeah.
and different kinds of practices suitable for them. So if you have a very air vata type
Yeah.
kind of mind,
Yeah.
then you don't want to be doing a strong fire inner channels type meditation. You want a calming type
Yeah.
meditation.
Yeah.
And for someone else, the strong internal imagination thing may be perfect. And so there's a wisdom that is identifying. That was apparently the Buddha's thing, that he would meet different people and then identify, oh, this is a good path for you. I think one person's path was just to look after the shoes of all the smart people that were going in for the lecture, and that is his path. And so somehow from this kind of process, that person's journey completes, and then he becomes the next teacher. That's the story. The Buddha leaves them and says, "Who's going to teach us now?" The guy cleaning the shoes is your next teacher. So it's really nice that there's space for each person to have different things, and I can't say so. I just know one person takes some kind of plant medicine or cannabis or God knows what, and then maybe that's helpful in creating more connections in the brain or opening things. Another person takes the same thing, and they're already too finely wired. And so the same thing creates too many connections and then creates instability and anxiety. And and then that creates fear inside or threat and paranoia. And so something that's good for some people is difficult for others. And so this is then a little bit difficult with some of those things. And that's the same with the spiritual practices. Yeah. So this is all the same. What is good for one person is not good for another person.
Yeah.
And maybe there's timing. So this is,
timing also. I call it divine timing. But when I was in Peru in 2018, I met a family, and the man there said that I had a lot of trauma from my childhood, and the way out of my trauma was through ayahuasca, and he had done ayahuasca more than 50 ayahuasca for over 2 years, and through ayahuasca he kind of came out like a whole person, and that was his path. And so someone used ayahuasca, and that's a plant medicine that helps some people. But for other people, ayahuasca may not be their right path because it can also be hard on the system. So, but it's so many ways. But nature have a lot of herbs and tools for us if we listen to Mother Nature, because Mother Nature is wise, and we are also a part of Mother Nature, because this duality that we have here, it is Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's a deep conversation by itself.
So I don't know anything about all that. I've always been with people that do. So I listen, but some instinct inside. I used to identify myself with people by saying I don't need the plant medicines.
But I remember
that was because I was already going in and out of altered states.
But I remember we talked about it earlier, and then you say the trouble for someone who uses ayahuasca is that when you really go into your essence, your light, there is nothing to hold on to. You have nothing to hold on to, and that can be scary for someone because we need someone to hold on to. So for someone, it gives them the freedom they want. They don't want to hang on to something. But for others, it's like, oh, I have nothing to hold on to. So they get more fear-based and go deeper into the hard stuff. So
Yeah.
so it can be
But it's also in meditation as well, Peggy.
yeah.
So you can get to a dark place, and where there's just emptiness, and I actually wonder what turns that into the light place. It's actually love. It's our love which maybe projects out and turns it into the light place. But you can get to an experience where there's just nothing. There's nothing to identify, hold on to. There's no sense of self or anything, and then that can be very frightening for some people, which is I've experienced that they come to talk to me and try and get
ground.
So then to get some kind of grounded feeling. And so when someone doesn't have a strong sense of self, then they need more focus on compassion, connection. So that's my work. I've made this touch connection work. And so it's not being lone samurai in a cave and doing your big yogi path. It's learning how to create human connection with others and have a sangha and a holding, and then that allows people then to be able to deal with this emptiness.
I'm glad you used the label emptiness, because it is kind of an emptiness. Also, what happens when we come to the void, the emptiness, the kind of, or the light essence of us, because it has also so many labels.
It's also fullness, So
it's also fullness. Fullness and nothing.
So the emptiness is the womb of the Tathagata. It's the potential, the mother. So it's pregnant, But do you experience that pregnancy? Yes, it's pregnant. Yes.
Do you see that this
yes.
is pregnant with the word? So
so this is the image, So the mother's image is for me is the best image of this, the pregnant mother. And so all of the life is coming out of that, but it's at the same time it's not there, and so you can get caught in this feeling of nothingness and nihility.
So this so that also what if we would find a kind of learning from that the spiritual part isn't for all. Because I remember when I went deep into my spiritual path, I thought that, okay, everyone should have a spiritual path. But at the same time, what I see now is that no, not everyone needs a spiritual path. We can choose life from a higher perspective, so we are not supposed to go into the spiritual dimension. I don't know what your thoughts about that, but what I have, where I'm now, and I changed because I also go with the flow, but I have, some people are multi-handicapped, and some people have a scripted journey, and they are not supposed to go into the spirituality, and some of them don't have the ability also to go into it because they are multi-handicapped in some way, and the handicapped, it is a scripted journey.
I've got different ideas on spiritual. So I don't see spiritual as white light and all that. I just see we're all the same. The sort of divinity is there, and then there is an unfolding which goes on, where the actual the kind of lower self and the higher self can meet and communicate in their own time. And so there was a journey to follow, and how that journey goes is different for different people. And so so we can't say that like I was kind of helped by meeting a young boy with cerebral palsy in India in a village. So he helped me because I was finding it difficult to do this touch work that I do, and to feel another person, to connect, because it's something where you establish a relationship, and then you don't use your head, you can just feel where to touch, where where's the body calling? Where does it need? And I couldn't feel at the time.
Yeah.
And then I met Ravi, this young boy. He was about 16, and his legs were all twisted and things, so he hadn't had any therapy. And as it happens and so I spoke with the parents, and they asked me to try and help him. And I found with him, it was so easy to feel. So he was the first person for me that I could connect with. And it's because his and my hands were going and they were strong, and I was feeling, oh, I'm here, I'm here. It's because his heart was so open, and I realized that was the difficulty, that my heart was quite closed, perhaps, and it wasn't able to connect with other people's hearts, which weren't that open, perhaps. And he was so open, it was easy for me, and so I could feel this, yeah. So you could say that because his mind wasn't really functioning in a strong way, he was really quite damaged on a cognitive level from the thing, yeah. But he was just beaming. He was so happy, with the connection between the two of us. It was just this complete bliss. Yeah, I could see it and I could feel it that was there. So I can't say that he's not following his spiritual journey. And someone else who's doing a business life or family life or whatever, they're also doing their own growth and their path. And there's different stages that they will be with. So I don't have this thing. I mean, there is the Buddhist thing that's there, and I'm aware of that. So I do listen to others. The lotus. So there's the lotus flowers, and some lotus flowers are the water's there, and some flowers are just below the surface. And so if you connect with them, then you may be able to see them come up and pop up above the water.
Yeah.
And there's others that are already really just above the water, and you can help them or connect with them, and they may come up higher. There's others that are just way up there already, and there's no need to do anything. They're already just shining and taking the sun. And then there are also some where they're just like seeds in the mud, and there's no judgment to that. This is just to observe reality that you can communicate, but nothing changes, and that will come in its own time. That's there. So there may be this kind of level of reality that's there with people, and that's okay. Yeah. And so this is kind of thing, but still, I see people doing their own journeys, and the question is, maybe more important, is whether they, Carl Jung's thing, whether they do it in an unconscious way or a conscious way, because the difficulty is the unconscious way creates more suffering. Yeah. So it comes more to me, rather than worrying about spiritual, not spiritual.
Yeah.
It's how in this world to have less unnecessary suffering for the whole planet.
I'm so glad
There'll always be some necessary, but it's down to this. How can this place be as comfortable as it could be? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you responded that way, because if we call it, because we started to say it doesn't have any name, but we have concept already about the spiritual. So I brought out the concept about spiritual, and you labeled it, or not labeled, you spoke about it in such a wonderful way, because we have kind of a collective understanding that if we are intellectual strong, then it's easier to be spiritual, or easier to do a lot of things. But actually, I want to talk about children who have Downs, not in a negative way, but if you see people who have Downs, they are often more happy. They play and are more relaxed than the normal person. So, and this is the big richness, because we think that we have to be in mental constructs to be rich, to have a perfect life. But actually, as you take the example, you said this person just had an open heart, and he smiled and he was in kind of bliss, but the intellect wasn't so the best, to put it that way, but he had such a wonderful life at the same time, because I share a lot of stories here, and I tried also with this story to say we don't have to be like Elon Musk said to one of them, one who have the highest IQ, or so other people have high IQ, that's the successful one. But no, it is, how do we feel inside? Do we emanate happiness, love? How much love do we have in our life? And that has nothing to do with the intellect and the scripted mind. So I'm so glad that you respond to what I said about spirituality and said, okay, what concept do you have about spirituality? Okay, I came from one set of seeing it, but you unfolded it so perfectly. So thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. Yeah. Everyone's got different journeys. So also the person with a learning difficulty, where there's more emotional sense and less mind, then they have different difficulties, because then they've got to also work with their emotions and harmonize them. So we're all human, and this is it. So we've all got different areas, different strengths and weaknesses and areas to work on. And there you go. So that's quite nice. So that brings us back to everyone having their own paths, doesn't it? All having this thing. So one thing that I've noticed from all, because I'm doing all these conversations, you're doing it public now, but I'm doing private one-to-one conversations.
Yeah, me too.
So I get this privilege of having this complete openness to meet others in their souls. And we find that there's so much which is similar. So the altered state experiences, the archetypes, the I'm Jesus, or I'm God, or Buddha, or things. So there's so much. I want to save the world, or the different things. There's so much that's similar, and then the difficulties with relationships, or understanding things, or place in the world. All of these things are basic human difficulties which we all share. So you find, so I'm not special. I'm not different in that way, and yet at the same. So on one level we're not. We're just the same. And on another level we're also unique in our own qualities and needs to find our personal way. And our gosh, we're really traveling. You're just taking me back to so the whole foundation of the Western mind boils down to Aristotle, and Socrates. I think it's Socrates, but Aristotle, and that's the founder of the philosophy of science. And it's not a little thing. So it's like us human beings, we are just fish swimming in water, mind oceans. And this ocean, this construct has been created in Greek times. Which created an idea, a collective idea of truth. That's what I'm saying. It took away the cinema halls and put a big screen and said, this is true. And your little screen is not. So before this, there was this idea of arete, that everyone has their own personal truth, their evolving journey, and their relationship to the divinity. And this relationship was cut and replaced by the big screen, which says the science and the truth.
Thank you.
And that's allowed us as humanity to evolve all our technology and do things, but it also cut us from our connection to the divine.
Yes. Very good to end this conversation with that analogy, because that's so true. Because and now I see that we go back to what we had earlier. We go back to the divine essence of us.
And it's a personal connection.
As a personal connection. Knowing that we are divine beings. We are the God source. It's not out there. We experience it as in a personal relationship. Thank you so much,
thank you.
for sharing your experience and your path. Wow. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. You can follow divinedesign.it on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Join us next Sunday for another Heaven on Earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence, and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.